welcome to a final live stream of this 3.0 launch week, special edition of our community showcase. I'm sorry for a bit of a slow start there. I had a few scheduling problems, seems to be all fixed now. Emily, if you could let me know, hopefully the audio and everything is working all great. And yeah, great to have you all with us. Thank you so much for joining. So I'm Emma, I'm the Senior Community Programs Manager at Rasa, and I've been working really closely with our open source contributors who are continuously going above and beyond for our community, and without, we certainly would not be where we are today. So yeah, it's been super awesome. I'm also kind of spectating myself from the chat to see so many community members enjoying the latest update and tuning in to this week's live session featuring many members of our team who have worked extremely hard to bring this new update to life. So yeah, I guess we can get started. So what I wanted to talk to you about today, just a few things on the agenda. So first I wanted to give a quick shout out to our testers as well, who've done a fantastic job this update to help us out in this regard. And also moving on to an interview with Souvik. And then we'll talk about a little bit about why it's valuable to contribute to open source, some of the perks that we offer to Rasa, and also how to contribute past Rasa 3.0. So yeah. So actually, I just disabled my camera. I see that that's in the way, but it's really important. I really want to make sure that we highlight everyone who has, been really avid in testing this update. So yeah, of course, a huge thank you to all the community testers on behalf of the entire team. You know, we are extremely grateful for your help testing and shaping up this major update. Julie and Gerhard alongside Souvik, who have tested and opened issues with the update ahead of the release, really done so much to really make sure and support us to improve the quality of the update. And both Julian and Souvik, alongside Arthur, Neil, Brandon and Will, who have helped us to shape and improve some of the features, such as slot mappings. So big shout out to them for making the update even better for all of us. So thank you so much, everyone. So what else? So I guess the big thing, and one of the big things that I wanted to share with you, of course, is the fact that Souvik has also been helping us, especially with this update. And I had the chance to actually have a little chat with him and talk to him a little bit about how he tested the update, his migration, and also contributing to 3.0. So Souvik is actually a senior machine learning engineer at Zuvu and has been a Rasa contributor since 2018, actually since before I joined Rasa. And some of the many ways he's helped community, like writing tutorials, like answering many questions on the forum, especially on duckling component. He has lots of expertise on that, especially. And has been thoroughly testing like multiple updates, not just this one, but lots in the past. And also helping us a lot with like the code side, so not just during the updates, but just kind of contributing new features and all kinds of stuff. So Souvik is a real Rasa superhero, and yeah, he's done so much for the community. And I guess actually what I wanted to do is dive into the interview with him. So I recorded this yesterday. I think Souvik is in the chat. Yes, Souvik is here. So yeah, if you have any questions throughout, I think he would also be happy to answer if he can. So yeah, I guess we can get started with that. Yeah, so hi Souvik. It's actually really lovely to chat with you, especially like coming off the back of the launch of 3.0. Really exciting times at Rasa as well, and obviously you did help us a lot with the testing. And I just wanted to ask you in the beginning, actually, how are you doing? It would be a good question to start with.
Yeah, I'm doing great. I think I have had a very interesting year, like personal, professional as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's nice to have something to look forward to at the end of the year for next year. And I think with Rasa 3.0, certainly with the different features that I've seen so far, I think, I'm quite excited to move on this product.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I guess one thing to ask as well is, or just to give a little introduction, maybe could you let us know maybe how you got into using Rasa and like the company that you work at? Is it something you use at your company at the moment?
Yes, we do. We have our own NLP systems, which are used to help search make better through conversations. And we are extensively using Rasa NLU to understand what the users are saying, to extract answers and entities from what the users are writing, and then match them up with the best products. So yeah, but that's not where my journey starts. I started working in Rasa since 2018.
Yes.
So it's been a long time, and yeah, it came out of an innovation project, a garage project in my
Mm.
previous company, and the interest grew into the open source world, and that's how it all transpired to where I am now.
Yeah, you've been around for a long time with Raza. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, really appreciate it. There's so many things you've been working on. Yeah, tutorials, helping chip in with the forum as well, and also, of course, really doing a lot of help with testing. I know you also helped us test previous updates and all like features and things. So maybe a first question to ask as well is like, how are you enjoying 3.0? Like, what are the features that you like most, and maybe why do you like them?
Yeah. Well, I started working on Rasa and LU primarily for a long time, and one of the features that I was really interested in 3.0 was the graph component, because traditionally NLP pipelines has always been what they call downstream. So you take features from one and then you move on to other and move on to other and so on. But with graph component, the outline of what a pipeline looks like changes,
Mm.
and you don't have to wait for certain features for certain components in your pipeline. And I think that whole idea of spreading out your components and letting the component decide which dependencies they would want and which dependencies they don't, and then running it across I would imagine multiple machines, multiple processes in the future, that would really have a big efficiency on training time. So yeah, definitely that's the most interesting feature that I have worked across so far in my migrations. And yeah, this is something I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, that's really awesome. And you've obviously been working on migrating at the moment. I know you obviously being one of the first to test, and then also probably one of the first to migrate as well. Like, yeah, maybe how's it been going for you, and what sort of things have you already been managing to migrate to? And yeah.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why we wanted to migrate was the efficiency in training time.
Mm-hmm.
We are training a lot in iterations and fine-tuning models, and the introduction of cache into the Rasa training pipeline, that would speed up a lot of our retraining pipelines, because they are quite important that we keep the pace of how we
Mm.
train our models. And so, but we do have some custom components. That's like primarily a big part of our pipeline is we have to connect to some databases, get some entities from the natural text. And so my first migration was the custom components, which has changed. I would not say significantly, but it
Mm.
has changed from the previous versions. And the introduction of a graph component class that we have to implement. There are certain methods that we should be mindful of, and also model persistence, which changed from the previous version, where uh, in my custom component I have more control, right, on
Mm.
the persistence layer,
Mm.
which I think was a very interesting update that I've noticed. And yeah, so far that has been good. I managed to migrate all my custom components and how they look, and they are working just fine. I also use the Pythonic APIs
Mm.
of Rasa, so I'm still in the progress of migrating them as well. But so far, my experience has been quite smooth. I don't think there is a big challenge per se in terms of moving my custom components,
Mm.
but definitely the concepts have changed, and you have to be mindful of the concepts. So it's important to go through the code a little bit as well, so that you get used to why certain things are changed that way, or why
Mm.
you have to do model persistence. And yeah, so but overall it hasn't been a very bad experience. I've had a quite a smooth transition to Rasa 3.0.
That's really, really good to hear. I don't know if maybe if it makes sense, but if you maybe have some tips for people that are migrating, or some things that you think would be helpful for them to know.
I think it's important to understand the different methods.
Mm.
So the big difference in custom components is how you initialize the class.
Mm.
That has changed, and you have to understand the fact that now model persistence is controlled within the component, so you have a lot more control on it. So you have to do some things by yourself, which was not the
Mm.
case before. And yeah, the classes of loading the model and creating your instance of the class of your custom component, What do you want to add as metadata, for example, how your training pipeline should forward messages.
Mm.
There are certain improvements there, and certainly these things you should look out for if you are using custom components. Uh, how your featureizers, for example, have also moving
Mm.
those tokens and those features to the downstream tasks. They are very interesting to watch out for, and definitely there are a couple of examples on featureizers and how do you create your custom featureizers in
Mm.
Rasa. For entity extractors and classifiers, just yeah, make sure you look into the methods that have changed, and
Mm.
make sure you instantiate your classes correctly.
Well, it's actually really good to hear maybe some tips from someone that's already started migrating. Yeah, like you said, the features in the end are really great, but just some things to keep in mind. Maybe this is helpful for our community to be aware of. Awesome. I know, I mean, I mentioned before as well that you, or before I move on, I will just mention I'll probably tomorrow, since we're recording this today, so today in the stream, as you're watching this recording, I'll link the migration guide in the chat as well. So you have that. I think we've mentioned this before previously in some of the launch event episodes, but just to make sure you're aware anyone new joining us. But yeah, just to move on as well. So I did mention before, you know, you obviously are an avid tester of our updates. Yeah, you've been an absolute superstar. I cannot thank you enough. I think the team also is extremely grateful for all of the help that you've shown. You did a massive amount of testing for this particular update as well. So I think a lot of people have you to thank for the quality as well, you know, helping the team to maintain that. So maybe one of the questions is, could you maybe share a bit more about like the sort of things that you helped us to test? Just a little insight on that.
Yeah, I think I've been quite fortunate, to be honest, to have received, previews of what is there to come,
Mm.
and being contacted by, I think, by Ty
Mm-hmm.
and some of the engineers as well about whether these features are interesting and what can be done to improve it. And I think one of the calls I had was about slots.
Mm.
It was, I think, with Anka and
Mm.
Ty.
Yeah.
So it was definitely the way slots are now being used, and they are moved away from forms into its own, and then you can reuse them across forms. It was quite interesting, and yeah, I get to test it without having to do it on my own machine. So I was provided a machine to test it and
Mm.
have a walkthrough of what is interesting,
Mm.
what might have a collision. So there were a couple of discussions around, where's the
Mm.
custom NLU components come in when you have slot mappings, because
Mm.
you have entities, you have slots, and they can overlap at times.
Mm.
So how do you make the difference? So yeah, it was. I would say I was quite fortunate, but definitely a very interesting experience to
Mm.
have a first-hand review with Rasa developers on,
Mm.
how to build new features, and this iteration is definitely really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you say you're fortunate, I think that's super mutual. I mean, we're also super fortunate to have you. And yeah, the fact that you're obviously so experienced with Rasa and also Rasa Superhero, doing exceptional contributions, like that's what puts also you in this position. So yeah, obviously this is super mutual. We really, really like appreciate it. Yeah, and I guess also you've been a huge part and support to our community as well since 2018, as said before. Yeah, I wanted to ask, what inspired you actually to do, or to actually just be, a contributor and to become a Rasa superhero in the end?
Uh, I think I come from a very traditional software engineering background, and I wanted to look into ways of how do you get into machine learning. And
Mm.
obviously, if you come from a engineering background, you look at things from an engineer's perspective, and whether particular class is scalable, or a particular product is scalable or not.
Mm.
What can be done to make it more efficient? And initially, most of my feature propositions that I would make were to help my enterprise at that time, when I was looking for more enterprise features, and I ended up uh, like really understanding the open source model, that if you want something, you do it yourself, and then you present what you want, and then hopefully there is a group of developers that will have a consensus of what you want, and then it will get into the product. And that was a very nice experience. I worked very early on tracker stores,
Mm.
which was like a gateway towards knowing, okay, I have contributions into a core product, And that really brings a lot of interest out of you to continue doing that. And then looking into, we had the Gitter chat before, and then moving into a forum, and then a lot of very interesting questions would come up on forum where you would want to have your opinion and see what the other side thinks, whether that makes sense. And then you have this sort of validation about your progress into this world, from being a software engineer to a machine learning engineer, and whether your understanding of these components are actually making sense to everyone. And I think that progression kind of also reinforces the fact that you're building something, you are contributing to a community, you're helping developers across the world build really nice products. And yeah, and that keeps evolving, and that can lead to somewhere some good career opportunities, etc. So it always has a positive reinforcement to your life as well.
Yeah, no, that's really, I mean, it's lovely to hear as well that it has this impact. I mean, yeah, you actually have been contributing since before I even started at Rasa. I mean, I've always kind of seen you as also like one of the first superheroes that we have as well. And so you've probably seen a big evolution of Rasa as well since you started. And also actually, of course, contributed to that and been part of that whole evolution. So yeah, it's it's really great to have you still with us in the community as well. But at the same time, yeah, you also have kind of been contributing and seeing like the benefits of contributing over these years. And I guess you mentioned also the career side, and I just wanted to ask also one more question on this. Do you think that the contributing is helping the career, the sort of work that you do, and maybe if you have advice from others that wanting to do the same to help their career?
I think when you're learning theoretical concepts in a university, the pool of people around you potentially helps you become better. And when you are in the open source world, that pool is very large, right? And it gives you that progress and validation, whether how your style of writing code and your style of understanding machine learning concepts, if you are in machine learning, if you're in any other field, that bigger pool really defines how you progress and how you can tackle problems. Because obviously every engineer across every other company is facing different problems for their day-to-day work. And when they come across these forums, they would discuss, they would show what's the problem they are facing. And if you can give solutions, it kind of helps you also progress as an engineer, and gives you some foundational concepts, and which what you would take to your job interviews, or to the next job that you take, is essentially your experience, not just what you did in the company where you used to work, but also in an open source world, because there is a lot more problems out there that you wouldn't typically see within a university or within a company, right? So you take your concepts of your understanding, and then you try and help other developers across a big world, and see whether your concepts still stand, right? And you will get feedback. And bigger open source communities are very gracious and very welcoming in terms of giving you feedback and telling you, well, you should add these tests, and with workflows that you have in GitHub. I still get complexity, more complex in terms of rating for my code. So there's always an opportunity where you can learn the fact that, okay, your code is not efficient enough, and you need to retry it, you need to figure it out how to make it better. But at the end of the day, your code is actually getting integrated into a product, which is then being used by so many people across the world. So there is always that cycle that makes you grow as an engineer, and that leads you to better opportunities for yourself as an individual. So it's a double benefit.
Yes. Yeah, thank you. That's such a really detailed, very, a lot of depth to what you're saying there in terms of what you can really benefit out of contributing. And it's really, really fantastic to know that it's, can be so helpful for your career. Like you said, in the kind of the real time, in the moment, improving your skill. But I guess also you can grow into the future, and it's like this kind of journey that we're all on together in open source, that we can, as things develop, as software evolves as well, and code evolves and things change, that we're all like, if we're in an open source environment, we can all do that together, and be in this, in this whole, this whole journey together. So it's really cool. Yeah, thank you so much for talking with me today as well, and also everything else that you're doing. I know you also have you have an open PR right now. I think we'll hopefully go
Yes.
into one of the next updates, and also like several issues, I'm sure, or at least an issue open at the moment. So still at it, helping us improve Rasa. So yeah, again, just I said this many times, but I really genuinely, and we all do at Rasa, really appreciate everything you're doing. And also, thanks so much for carving out some time in your obviously very busy schedule as well to talk with me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Definitely a very interesting experience for me being on an interview as well. So thank you so much.
Of course, yes. We should definitely get you on these showcases more, for sure. But yeah, thank you so much. And I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
talk soon. All right, welcome back again. Thank you, Souvik, for taking the time. It was really awesome to talk with you and talk about your migration experience. And as also linked in the chat, there's also a guide there. And of course, the forum is also a good place if you have any trouble migrating. Our team and lots of moderators and folks on the community are very happy to help. As you can see, people already Dishant is jumping in to help out. So awesome community. But yeah, I linked also Souvik's LinkedIn in the description on YouTube. Again, so much, really thank you so much, Souvik, for everything you do at Rasa. It's always a pleasure to work with you, and I look forward to also, working with Souvik also into the next updates, I'm sure. I'm sure he'll be working with us on those too. So maybe just moving on as well a little bit. So we did finish off that kind of discussion in the interview talking about contributing, and so I just wanted to also touch on these things because it's something that I'm also working on, and I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the reasons why it can be so valuable to also contribute to open source. So one of the first things for sure is basically, it allows you to also be part of and supported by a passionate, diverse, thriving community. We touched on it also in the interview, and Souvik had also a really great response about that, and talking about how developers can support each other and share knowledge, and there's lots of open knowledge for people to share there. So it's really a fantastic place to kind of collaborate, and it gives you that opportunity to really collaborate with like-minded individuals. And of course, we invite everyone from different expertise levels, from beginners, from diverse backgrounds, because at Rasa as well, we really believe that this makes the software itself more inclusive for everyone, and this is a really important aspect of building open source software. And of course, it can also support career goals. So, allowing you to network with other people and other industry professionals. And and this is kind of, I guess, RAS is also one of the only opportunities to contribute to specifically open source conversational AI. So there's that uniqueness to it as well. But last but not least as well, we do want to also ensure that we recognize all the really great work by our contributors. So actually we also offer some neat swag, and we work very closely with our heroes and superheroes. And that's something else I wanted to just touch on as well. So some of the perks that we have in our contributor program. So folks that just, start off contributing and continue to contribute. We also send off some neat swag. So there's t-shirts and a sweater. And you can see Angus and Brandon, two of our heroes as well, sporting the shirt. So it's always makes me so happy. It's one of the best things to get a picture from our from our contributors and see them so happy with the swag. And so oops, move to the next slide. So additionally, we're working on also some other initiatives and other motivations to kind of contribute, and really just keeping those motivations that I mentioned before in mind when we think about the sort of things that we want to give to our contributors and kind of give back and reward. So for example, we host regular check-ins with our avid contributors and heroes and superheroes. There we like hang out and celebrate new members and host workshops. And one of the things that I think is really valuable is also sharing like early insights onto updates and ahead of the release. And this allows also our community champions to like prepare tutorials and talks and get ready to help in the forum when releases actually do hit, like we have with 3.0. So yeah, going forward, we have lots of other initiatives in mind. Lots of different things, like just for example, working right now on giving recommendations or linking recommendations to all our heroes and superheroes. So we couldn't be more grateful. So it's just, there's so many more things we want to do and so many more things that I'm also thinking about doing in the future. And so finally, also I wanted to touch on like how you can get started, because obviously contributing and kind of getting started is a bit unclear for some folks, and it's not always so straightforward. Where do you start? It can be quite daunting when you fork such a big project from GitHub. And so one of the things that is really helpful for us right now, one of the things I wanted to mention is, if you're able to port your bots to 3.0 and start opening issues on GitHub, that's definitely a massive help for us, and definitely for the community as well. And of course, if you're not sure, to open your find something and open issue yourself, we actually have a project board just with lots of open issues that our team have put together. They've put some new issues on there that you can kind of get started on right away. So a few kind of easy to start issues, so some minor bugs, some things to kind of get stuck into basically and start contributing. And so of course we appreciate any contribution. So at the same time, you can also do a written tutorial, a workshop, even answering questions on the forum, or a video, or even simply fixing typo in our documentation. It all takes time, and so we really appreciate everything that is done by our community. So that's actually all the things. I will link the contributor board that I just mentioned also in the chat, and at the same time also put it in the description, so you will have it there as well. So I guess that actually wraps up this episode. So I think I really hope also to be able to chat with Souvik again in the future. We had a really good chat, but also future episodes of the showcase, we will also make sure to highlight some of these really awesome bots that are coming out of our community, have more interviews. If there's any topic that you're interested in, you want to hear from anyone in our community, then definitely let us know in the forum. And I wanted to say as well, thank you so much for tuning in, and I really hope that you enjoy getting stuck into the update. I really look forward to seeing you around the community. I'm actually going to stick around a little bit longer in the chat in case you have some more questions regarding community topics or anything. I'll definitely try to help and answer your questions. If not, I'll definitely guide you in the right direction. And so until next time, thank you so much to our entire team for acknowledging such a great update, for Rachel for preparing this amazing week of events, and Vincent and Justa for also hosting, and the folks in our team that also joined to talk with our community, our superheroes, our heroes, our contributors, all of our community members, Emily for being awesome in the chat as well and helping us. Everyone, thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next one. So have a great weekend, everyone.